Okay, so the first thing you want to do now is go to your project files folder and open the HyPolyRobot.max file. So this is the robot we're gonna work with for this training. I will press G to hide the ground. You can see it's not perfectly centered on the ground and all those things I did for a reason. I'm gonna show you why in a minute. So if we press F4 on the keyboard, you will see that we have our mesh and we have floating geometry on top of it. We have legs. You can see we have some floaters on one of the sides. We have some missing ones. The reason it was done like this is because I want to show you that first, sometimes you have to fix certain projects or things that are provided for you from other artists. For example, if you haven't done this robot or somebody else did it, you have to know how to fix it and just to know how to optimize stuff and how to prepare it. Another thing you can notice is if you select the different pieces, you can see that they're not named. There's also a reason for that, and I'm gonna get this into a minute. So if I press H on the keyboard and drag my window in, you can see I have only boxes, planes, object 029, 028, sphere, and other those kind of things, and I don't have any groups. There is also a reason for that. Well, let's say that most of the time we're gonna model out the separate pieces, and in the end we're gonna attach all those pieces together. So until we get to that point, there's no reason for me to name those conventions, put naming conventions on those objects. And also you don't have to worry about the floaters and all those things. We're also going to add a little bit more detail right now before we move to making the low poly itself. For example, I want to show you how I place floaters on the back of the head or on the arms, and we can do it on both sides, how we're gonna fix the legs, add some floaters there as well, because you will see the power and the advantages of having floating geometry and how it's used. If you look the floaters now, they look like they're molded inside of the geometry, but if I press F4 on the keyboard, you're gonna see that they are separate pieces, and right now they look like they're one and the same, like they're baked or something. This is just a flat shaded view inside of 3ds Max, and that's how it looks. If you're using Nitro or using the default engine, should be like this. If you're using the Nitro inside of 3ds Max, you'll have the realistic. If you turn on realistic, you see that the way that casts shadows around the meshes is, well, there you can see that they're not exactly placed there, but the normal map in the end will look like this. It will take all the information that it sees and it's gonna make it one plane. So that's one of the advantages of having floating geometries on flat surfaces and other places, because this way you can achieve a lot of high quality, and if something's off with the floater or it's not done correctly, you can move it and place it or put it somewhere else or entirely remove it. So the first thing I want to do is press F to go front view, press Z on the keyboard to zoom automatically, and you can toggle this entire view by pressing the maximize viewport toggle on the bottom, or by pressing Alt and W. This is usually my perspective, but once I press Alt and W, I will go in full view and just press F and Z then to go in front. So the first thing I want to do is drag a selection and select the entire robot. I just want to go to move, and I just want to group it just for a second in order to move the entire mesh, and I'm just gonna name the group robot. And you'll press OK, and right now I'm just gonna drag him down. I want to scroll down and zoom with the mouse and just move it a little bit. Make sure that the robot is centered in its right position. And the next thing I want to do is I go over in perspective. I'll select the robot again. I'm gonna ungroup it. I'm gonna save it, and we're gonna name this robot 01, because this is our base robot and we just want to have different names for those. Actually, robot 001. I'm gonna press save. And now our next chapter, we're gonna move on and we're gonna start looking at other separate pieces. We're gonna discuss a little bit more about what things you're gonna use and what we will not use, because most of the objects that you can see on the mesh itself are quite repeating, and when we get to the baking stage, we just want to make some of the parts for the robot because you want to use really less texture space, because in the end these textures can be 2000, not 2000 by 2000, but 512 by 512, for example, and you want to achieve the maximum quality as you can for this kind of textures. So we'll think how we can prepare our low poly as well as our other UVs and just discuss it quickly, and after that we're gonna move on to the real modeling itself.